The funny story of Barnaby Buckle and the exploding marmalade. Barnaby Buckle was, to put it mildly, unlucky. He tripped over air, bumped into invisible walls, and once, famously, managed to get his head stuck in a bird bath. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared him for the day the marmalade exploded. It all started with a competition. The annual village fete was approaching, and this year, the highlight was the Best Homemade Marmalade contest. Barnaby, inspired by a particularly juicy orange he'd found in his garden, it had a tiny, almost imperceptible, crown on top, which Barnaby considered a sign of good luck, ironically, decided to enter. He'd never made marmalade before. His cooking skills were, to be generous, rudimentary. He once tried to boil an egg and ended up with a small, charred sphere resembling a charcoal briquette. But Barnaby was determined. He followed a recipe he'd found online, a recipe that, he later discovered, was written by someone who clearly had a vendetta against citrus fruit and sugar. The process was fraught with peril. He sliced his fingers multiple times. He burnt his eyebrows trying to light the gas stove, a feat he managed despite having turned the gas off. He even accidentally set his apron on fire, extinguishing it with a rather panicked, and ultimately ineffective, application of orange juice. But finally, after a chaotic afternoon filled with near misses and minor kitchen disasters, he had a jar of marmalade. It wasn't pretty. It was a murky, brownish-orange color, with lumps the size of small pebbles scattered throughout. But Barnaby was proud. He labeled it with a flourish, using a marker pen which bled slightly into the label, and placed it proudly amongst the other, far more aesthetically pleasing, entries. The day of the fete arrived, bright and sunny. Barnaby, surprisingly, didn't trip on the way there. He even managed to carry his jar of marmalade without incident. He set it up on the table, next to a magnificent jar of marmalade that looked like liquid sunshine, and a slightly less magnificent but still pretty respectable jar of marmalade that shimmered with a gentle amber glow. His own jar, frankly, looked like it had been rescued from a shipwreck. The judges, a panel of 3 extremely serious-looking women with a penchant for perfectly symmetrical eyebrows, began their tasting. They sampled the liquid sunshine, then the amber glow, their expressions remaining impassive. Then, it was Barnaby's turn. With a flourish, he presented his jar. One of the judges, a woman with eyebrows that could cut glass, picked up the spoon, dipped it into the marmalade, and brought a small spoonful to her lips. Her eyes widened, her eyebrows twitched. Then, boom, the jar exploded. Not a gentle pop, not a slow fizz, but a full-blown, explosive eruption of marmalade. Orange pulp, zest, and a surprisingly large quantity of what appeared to be tiny, unidentified bits of something vaguely vegetable-like, shot across the table, showering the judges and several nearby onlookers. A small child shrieked in delight. A prize-winning dachshund, whose owner was distracted by the sudden marmalade shower, attempted to steal a sausage from a nearby barbecue. Chaos reigned. Barnaby, stunned into silence, watched as the judges, covered in sticky orange goo, looked like they were about to simultaneously launch into a very aggressive game of marmalade-themed dodgeball. The owner of the dachshund, meanwhile, was frantically trying to retrieve the aforementioned sausage from the dog's jaws. The silence that followed was deafening. Then, one of the judges, wiping marmalade from her impeccably coiffed hair, let out a shaky laugh. Another followed suit. Soon, the entire area was filled with the sound of surprised laughter. Even Barnaby couldn't help but chuckle at the sheer absurdity of it all. It turned out the explosion was caused by a reaction between a particularly volatile type of orange and a brand of sugar Barnaby had mistakenly used. The recipe hadn't mentioned anything about this. It simply stated, sugar. Surprisingly, despite the explosive nature of his entry, Barnaby won the most memorable marmalade prize, a slightly soggy, marmalade-stained rosette, and a year's supply of exceptionally strong cleaning fluid. The following year, Barnaby stuck to jam. He even won a prize for his strawberry jam, which, thankfully, did not involve any explosions. But he'll always remember the year the marmalade exploded, a day etched forever into the annals of village fete history, a truly funny story indeed. The tale of Barnaby's exploding marmalade quickly spread throughout the village and beyond. He became a local legend, known for his culinary catastrophes and his remarkably good luck in turning disaster into a winning entry. Children would point and giggle whenever they saw him, and adults would chuckle fondly as they recounted the story of the day the marmalade went boom. Barnaby himself took it all in stride. He even started wearing a marmalade-splattered apron as a badge of honor. One day, a film crew arrived in the village. They had heard the legend of Barnaby Buckle and his explosive marmalade. They wanted to make a documentary, a whimsical comedy about a man whose cooking mishaps were legendary. Barnaby, initially hesitant, agreed. He saw it as a chance to finally share his story with a wider audience, a chance to laugh about the whole thing, and to perhaps inspire others to embrace their own unique brand of culinary chaos. The filming was a lot of fun. Barnaby, surprisingly comfortable in front of the camera, recreated the events of that fateful day, complete with comical sound effects and exaggerated facial expressions. He even baked a new batch of marmalade, a safer recipe this time, carefully demonstrating each step of the process, his every clumsy move and near miss capturing the hearts of the film crew. The documentary, titled Barnaby's Marmalade Mayhem, was a huge success, showcasing Barnaby's endearing clumsiness, his unwavering optimism, and his remarkable ability to find humor in even the most sticky situations. News of the documentary reached a renowned food critic, a woman known for her sharp tongue and even sharper palate. She was intrigued. She had heard whispers of Barnaby's infamous marmalade, and she decided she had to see for herself. She contacted Barnaby, inviting him to a private tasting. Barnaby, nervous but excited, arrived at the critic's elegant kitchen, armed with a selection of his latest creations. A cautiously made marmalade, with a strict adherence to safety guidelines, a perfectly smooth strawberry jam, and a slightly lumpy but surprisingly delicious plum chutney. The critic, a stern-looking woman with a reputation for delivering brutally honest reviews, began her tasting. Her initial expression was one of skepticism, but as she sampled each item, her face softened. To Barnaby's surprise, she praised his marmalade, commenting on its unique flavor and unexpected zest. She loved the strawberry jam, finding it refreshingly simple, and she was particularly impressed by the plum chutney, praising its unusual texture and complexity. The critic, a woman who had crushed the dreams of countless chefs with her cutting words, declared Barnaby's creations delightfully unpredictable, a testament to his unique culinary journey. Barnaby's newfound fame led to unexpected opportunities. He started giving cooking demonstrations, his clumsy style endearing him to audiences of all ages. He even wrote a cookbook, Barnaby Buckle's Recipes for Mild Mayhem, filled with recipes that were both delicious and, at times, slightly disastrous. The book became a bestseller, a testament to the enduring appeal of a good, funny story. Barnaby Buckle, once known only for his unfortunate accidents and his exploding marmalade, became a celebrated figure, his story a reminder that even the most calamitous events can be turned into something truly special, something funny, something unforgettable. And it all started with a jar of marmalade, a competition, and a very, very unexpected explosion. The end.